Let me get to what I think is the key question, because, and this is why I think it's different than one of the ministers, Hagee, who has supported McCain, but they don't have any real connection and has said some horrible things about the Catholic Church. Obama's been a member of this church for 2 decades. He was married there. His children were baptized there. Does it say anything about him that he's a member of this church and he is a member of Reverend Wright's flock?
Of course it says something about him, and I think this goes back to what Bill was just saying. He joined this church really to solidify his credentials as authentically black and authentically a part of that South Side Chicago community, because it's the largest church there, and Reverend Wright is well known not only in Chicago but nationally. And he's known for making these outlandish comments, and he falls into a tradition of black ministers who's, they say it's social gospel or whatever, but really what it comes down to is an expression of black nationalism and trying to affirm black folks and say, you know what, racism in this country is terrible and it's a burden to be black in America and all that. But they go beyond the pale at some point then and start off with this whole victimization, blaming people, damning the United States. And it goes to the point then where I think it becomes sort of, it picks up and leads to what Michelle Obama said about only for the first time is she, this Ivy League educated, prominent American lawyer, proud to be an American because you're having support for her husband. I think that's wackiness, but yet that's the kind of thing that spirals out of this. And I think it's very key here that unlike the notion that Barack Obama wants to advance that he didn't or wasn't aware of it, I find that unbelievable, or that this is a crazy uncle speaking out. This is a man who he chose to be associated with. It's not a family member. He chose to be associated with Reverend Wright and saw advantage in it, and that's why he exploited it up to a point when he realized, especially when he was announcing, that he couldn't have Wright by his side for the announcement in Springfield. And now seeks to somehow distance himself, but it speaks to his character and it speaks to the judgment, which is the basis on which Barack Obama has been running his campaign. So I think it could be a big problem. I want to follow
up on this because, look, quite frankly, African Americans see a lot of issues differently than whites, and sometimes we don't understand. What do you think it says about Obama's character and his judgment?
Well, I think that what it says is that Barack Obama, who says he wants to be transracial, that he wants to be the crossover, I mean, he is the fruit of a generation. This is the closest black people have ever been to having a president of the United States of America. And suddenly you see, wait a second, he's playing games and corners here on the race question. He's not being straight ahead and saying, you know what, I stand astride racial polarization. He's saying, I play racial polarization at one moment to my advantage, Reverend Wright. Next moment, I will distance myself and disavow Reverend Wright when that's convenient too. That's why I say, for me, it just strikes, wait a second, I want to know you. I want to know what you think and who you are. And in this case, I realize I don't.
I think that